Good day, friends. It is a lovely day. I have a new project on the bench and it is great to get into the workshop. It's the first time I've been in the workshop for, I don't know how many days, since last weekend, and we're now Thursday. I've been working flat out for Royal Mail lately and I've had no time to go into the workshop at all. I'm well behind on all my jobs, but it's not really your concern, is it? Anyway, cracking on. Got a new project on the bench today. Mexican Strat, beautiful looking thing. There you go. Bit of a chip there on the back of the heel. I've just noticed that. Very nice looking guitar. Bit of a thin piece of rosewood on the neck. I like to see some fat rosewood. And one thing I've noticed, got locking tuners on it, which have been probably added later, but they're not staggered. And that's a real shame because these two should definitely be taller and staggered so you get a better break angle on the strings. Bit concerned about that. I don't think that's going to work too well. It's going to cause too much of a break angle on the strings. We're probably going to want to snap. Also, the strings are going to rest on this little part of the fingerboard on the behind the nut there. The guy sent me a letter or sent me a note with it saying he wants a fret level, he wants a nut fitting, and whatever else needed doing. I'll tell you in a minute when I get my iPad out. Let's just scroll back. Nut fitted, fret level set up. Well, the thing is, I don't see why he thinks he needs a fret level. I'm going to turn the camera down. It's a Mexican Strat, by the way. Made in Mexico, MZ8049313. I think his locking tuners may be a later edition because it's certainly not a deluxe model because it's a 6-screw type tremolo. Tremolo seems to be set up pretty okay. Doesn't look like it's ever used because it's got 5 springs in the back. I'll have to ask about that. Nice pressed steel saddles. I like those, the vintage type. I've always liked those. Pickups look nice. It's got a nice cream patina to it. Looks really, really good. I've not tested the electrics yet. I'm going to do that. But what I'm going to do is the frets, to me, I've been across with fret rocker. They're level, but they certainly do need reprofiling because they're flat. So it's not going to alter the price in any way. It's just I'm wondering why he thought he needed a fret level. Now the frets are, they're not too low. They're not high. There's enough on there. There's enough meat on there for me to redress those frets. I'm going to reprofile those frets and polish them. So I'm not going to charge any less than I've quoted the guy, because it's virtually the same amount of work. With fret leveling is the easy part. Fret leveling takes you 2-3 minutes. Well, it doesn't. You know, you've got to set the neck up. I've got to set the neck up anyway and get everything taped up. But fret leveling probably takes you 10-15 minutes. That is not where the gist of the work comes into it. The gist of the work comes into working on frets with the recrowning, which we call reprofiling, and the polishing. So I think we're pretty much on the ball with the price quoted. I'm wondering if this nut is going to fit the slot. Sometimes these can be a little bit thin. This is definitely a 3mm wide slot there. And I'm thinking, looking at that, I'm going to get me a standing knife. I'm going to have a look at this nut and hope that it is wide enough. If not, we'll go, I do have stock bone nuts and I could carve one. Now, there's a little bit of a nick in there we need to remove. These are a Graphtec nut. It's made from a substance called, normally tusk, T-U-S-Q. Not ivory tusk, not from an elephant's mouth or not a protruding elephant tooth. It's T-U-S-Q, which is a man-made substance. These are self-lubricating. Made in Canada by Graphtec. Very, very good. I'm just going to check the width of this nut in the slot. Let me just show you, you can see the nut there, it's got the model number on it and everything. Right, great news is the nut is, oh, it's a wide one. It's actually too wide for the slot. That's fantastic because it means I'm going to sand the back just a little bit just to get it to fit. Now this has a little notch underneath, if you can see that, and that means it will sit on a normal flat fingerboard slot for the nut, but also if like on the Fender ones and other brands, you have a curved nut slot, we curve the slot as well, and that is going to be the case. So it'll probably slotted to be anything between probably 7.25 inch radius. So we're going to remove this little protrusion there, and this will sit right in there. So that's good. We've got the right nut, so that's great. The slots are spaced correctly for the guitar. Just check the width. The width is, it's certainly wider, but not as wider than the neck, so I have to take a little bit off the edge there, but the string spacing should still be okay. Just have a look down there. Yeah, it's only a little bit wider, so that's fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera so you can see exactly what I'm doing. There's no point in having the camera pointing at me when I'm working on the guitar. Let's get down there. You can see the whole of the guitar there. How's that for you? How's that? You can see everything there, I think. That's pretty good. Straighten up. Okay, so with it being a Mexican Fender, we need a 5, is it 5? It's 3/16, so 3/16 Allen key for the truss rod. We're going to, I've tightened my truss rod already to get the neck straight. We're going to look at the frets in a moment. Standing like I can go away, I'm not going to need that again. So let's get back to what we were talking about. So the nut slot will already be radiused. It's not quite wide enough. Maybe it's got a bit of glue in there, but I've got some proper files to cut that slot. I'm just going to grab one. I've got some 3mm files which are for this particular job. Let's just have a look. Where are we? And what we're going to do is we're going to remove any excess glue in there. Right, there's 3mm. I bought these, I think I got these from, I'm not quite sure, I think I got them from Tone Tech Luthier Supplies, where I get most of my stuff. It does have one safe edge there, but it has a cutting edge there, and we're just going to go in. You see, that's a little bit thin. Now the good thing is I've got a slightly thinner one as well. We're going to go in, I'm going to remove the glue. Any excess glue in there. I should really have this in a vise, but as long as I hold it steady, I'll be okay. Still too wide, but we're getting, oh no, we're getting there, that is going to go in, that's good. So we're just going to, I'll take the wider of these, one slightly wider. See if we can just get that in. If we can't, I'm not going to force anything. Oh, that's good. Yep, that's great. So this nut should go straight in now. It's close, but no cigar. Let's have a look. Now we're going to have to remove that tank at the bottom. So I'm going to get onto that one later. So that's that done. What we're going to do now is, these still worry me a little bit. These should be the taller ones, because the brake angle is going to cut the string. I can already see where the strings have cut into the edge of the fingerboard behind the nut there. I'm not really into that, but what can I do? It's what it is. So what we're going to do now is, I'm going to make sure the truss rod's working, which it is, because the neck had a lot of relief in it, and I've already tightened it up to remove the relief, and I'm just going to tighten just a little bit more. I'm going to remove any relief from there. I'm just going to check that the neck is dead straight. Right, we've got a little bit of back bow in there now, so I've turned the other edge too much, so we're going to cut back a little bit, straight in there. We're going to go back about 1/6 of a turn. Still got, I don't know. Okay, we've now got back bow in there, so we're going to come back a 1/12, which will be about there. We're looking just to get the neck dead straight. Why do we call it dead straight? Why do we always add a negative in there? Okay, still, right, okay. So we've got a tiny bit of relief this end. and there, but in the middle it's fine. Now you always find that necks are never perfectly straight. They always go a little bit up and down. Not all of them, but 99% of them. Something with getting the frets in and heat changes and everything and humidity, blah blah blah. But let's have a look there. Right, okay. Got a little bit down at this end, which is strange because your truss rod doesn't work from there. So no matter what I do, nothing's going to change. So I'm going to actually take that as my level. What we are going to do is we are going to level the frets. We're going to skim across the whole lot. Just bear with me a second. Oh, that's okay, it's just a new client. I'm not supposed to do some work. I've quoted him and he's pretty happy with my quote. Alright, anyway, so you've got to be spot on with this. Tiny bit of relief here, but it straightens out here. Tiny bit of relief here, but it straightens out here. Right, I'm going to take that as my level. Just going to... I'm going to take this as my level. This should adjust. Release that little bit of back bow there. Right, okay, that is better. Got a little bit of relief down this end. We're not bothered about that. I'm going to take that as my level. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pen these up. I'm going to mark these frets off. And I'm going to take a fret leveling beam in a second. And I'm just going to whisk across and just see if we're getting uneven. If this pen doesn't come off in 6 strokes, both sides, I'm going to take it that the frets need leveling. Because even though they may be level with each other using a fret rocker, there may be slightly bit of undulation along the length of the neck, and I now see why the guy said he wanted the frets leveling. So I'm just marking these up. I'm going to assume it's a 9.5 inch radius. I'm going to check that first. 9.5 inch radius gauge. We're just going to check. We are most definitely 9.5 inch radius, which is fabulous. This is basically, with sandpaper has reached the end of its life. It's really quite smooth, even though it's 240 grit. I'm just going to go across and just check if it doesn't remove all the pen. Okay, it's not removed all the pen. There are some little places where it needs fret leveling, so we are going to give a fret level. And once we start gliding smoothly, like I said, even though this has been used as sandpaper, it's still working, and we are removing all of the pen. And this is going to be the fret level. Now what we do is when we follow a radius, we follow a radius from the outside. So when we get to this end, we don't follow in like that or in like that. We actually follow the actual radius. So when it comes to this end, we're overlapping because we're following the radius. So we must keep the file of the leveling beam perfectly in line with the neck. So you're actually watching this live. We're leveling the frets live. And that is all of the pen removed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush this off. I'm going to pen again. I'm going to take a 9.5 inch radius block. So you've just seen the frets levelled. So we are going to reprofile all of them because we have put a flat spot across some of these frets. Really, really nice to get to the workshop. I've not been able this week with Thursday already. I've worked every day for Royal Mail this week. I didn't finish at Royal Mail last night until 5:45 PM I clocked out. We got back from my last delivery at 5:30 tea time, because we took all the overflow, took me and another new lad. We took everything that came back because it was a really, really busy day. Due to the snow and everything this week, where stuff couldn't get out, we went and took all the overflow yesterday. And it was a long day. I did 41,000 steps on my Fitbit yesterday. That's my record. My record before that was just about 34,000, so I beat it by 7,000. Anyway, back to guitars. 9.5 inch radius block, already with 400 grit sandpaper on there. So this basically should be removed in just a couple of strokes. And once the pen's gone, and the pen has gone, just a couple this way, and that's it, all the pen has gone. So press a level, radius, nice easy one there. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to remove the neck. I'm going to remove the neck, get it all taped up. We're going to recrown and polish these frets now. Nut fitting is really easy, and we need to do a setup. So I'm going to separate the neck from the body. Once the body's off, I'm going to check the electrics, make sure everything's working all right. And once I'm happy with everything, we're going to come back, we're going to get this all taped up, and we're going to work on recrowning and polishing these frets. Before we remove the neck and the tuners and get the neck, the frets levelled properly, I just want to bring something to your attention. Couldn't get a lead in this because the input jack was turned the wrong way, and you couldn't get a lead in or out. It's because the longest piece was facing the wrong way. Anyway, you can get a lead in now. So I thought I'd test the electrics before we start taking the guitar to pieces and working on stuff. So ignore anyone that tells you you shouldn't hit pole pieces with a screwdriver. I ain't got time for that crap. Sounds very dull. Now there's no tone on there that I know of. Doesn't seem to do anything. Middle pickup. Doesn't seem to be any tone on there either. Though the middle tone turns the volume off. This proves to me that the electrics aren't right. Neck, tritone, nothing. This tone, nothing. Acting as a volume. So someone's had a go at the electrics in this guitar, and whatever they've done, I don't know what they've done, but the electrics are not right. What I would like to do with this is I would have a master volume for all three, which we have. I'd set that as a master tone for all three, and I'd turn this into a blend pot, which means with neck position we could blend in the bridge pickup, and in the bridge position we could blend in the neck pickup, giving us, we could have a 3 pickup combination. We could have these, just these two on, or any of the normal standard variations. I would really like that, but you know, end of the day, he's not paying me to do the electrics, but the electrics are definitely not right. So what I've done is I've messaged the guy, told him the electrics are not right, and what does he want me to do about it? But I'm still going to carry on with the neck work, so I'm going to remove the neck. I would have liked to have got the electrics all done before removing the neck, but I can still do the electrics with the neck off. So we're going to turn the guitar over, we're going to remove the tuners and the neck itself, get the right screwdriver. I had an electronic screwdriver, but it's packed up, stopped working, the mechanism's gone. So I'm going to do everything manually now, which is fine. I'm under the floodlit bench because it's getting a little bit dark, it's getting a bit late in the day. I've done my normal shift at Royal Mail. I'm working at Royal Mail 6 days a week now, so very limited hours to work on guitars, especially because I'm working, well not working, I've got things to do at church some nights in the week. Tonight being one of those nights, Tuesday night. We have an alpha course on Tuesdays, of which I'm a team member. Love doing that. So So very, very limited hours in the workshop. So when I do get in the workshop, I'm cracking on. Anyway, remove the neck. Nice dual blocks tremolo on this guitar. 5 springs under there, which tells me that the I don't think the owner of this guitar uses a tremolo. Nice guitar, just the necks are a little bit. It's not so much the necks, it's the thickness of the rosewood on the necks. It's almost like a veneer nowadays, it's about 3mm. That's not enough. I like to see a nice 5-6mm chunk of rosewood on there. So this is the thing I was on about. Big chip there, guitar came to me like that. There is a sticker in there. It says Bob Barry, guitar repairs. Alright, okay. I can see that he has shimmed the neck. I don't know who Bob Barry is, got absolutely no idea. The neck is shimmed, but just in the corners. That's not a very good way of shimming the neck. But, you know. Okay, neck is off. Oh, let me just show you that Bob Barry sticker. Never heard of the guy. It's in there. Bob Barry guitar repairs. See if I can read anything else. Got a phone number in there. Fosbrook Road, Small Heath, Birmingham. Yeah, well, I've got a couple of clients in Birmingham, and I said, how come we don't take us people in Birmingham? And said, there's nobody any good out there. I don't know. I'm not saying no one's no good in Birmingham. What I'm saying is, the guys that come to me, I say we can't find anyone decent out there. I've got a friend, Rob Peach, used to work at Hiscox Cases. He's been bringing his guitars to me for about 4 years. He brings many guitars. And I do all of his fret work. And he says, yeah, he says, you're the best by miles. He even drives over. Good friends, we go out for breakfast and stuff now and again. Right, so there you go. I'm in no way calling Bob Barry, I don't know who he is, got no idea. Bob Barry guitar repair. So Bob Barry's had this guitar at some point. Come on, Bob. Hello. That's all I can say really, isn't it? What can I say? So put a sticker back in there. I don't know what's going on for electrics. Maybe there's some kind of weird mod in there. They don't seem to be doing anything. What we're going to do next is we're going to remove the tuners. I'm going to do it right now actually. Tremolo Spanish should do. Remove the tuners, and we're going to bolt this to a piece of 30mm MDF. Set it dead straight. And we're going to do a proper fret level. There's no point in marking these which goes where, because they're not staggered. They're all exactly the same height. You should have 2 staggered ones here, they should be taller. So I don't know what's gone off there either. Frets are a little bit square, they certainly need reprofiling. There's been fret work done on this because I can see the lines down here. Someone's done some fret work. Maybe it's been refretted. I don't know, but the frets aren't seated too perfectly. Yeah, this has had a refret. I can see where it's chipped on the edge of the fingerboard. So this guitar's been refretted in the past. Not that well, because the frets aren't seated properly. And maybe this is why my Birmingham friends bring their guitars to me. Yeah, it's been badly refretted, not terribly refretted, but I can see scratch lines this way. You see, when I polish a fingerboard or sand a fingerboard before I put new frets in, I sand it that way. I don't sand it that way. And this has got sanding lines that way, and that way. So bad refret. The frets aren't seated properly. I can even get my thumbnail under there. Right, I'm going to tell the guy, I say whoever refretted that isn't very good. So I'm going to put this on hold. There's no point me carrying on. We might have to go over a refret with this. A good refret. cowboys out there. So, get those out. Show the frets here. I can get my fingernail under there. I can get my fingernail under these frets. Now, I can level and reprofile these frets, but that's been refretted, and it's not been refretted that well. And I would say, according to that sticker, Bob Barry Guitar Repairs, is it likely that Bob Barry refretted this? Well, if Bob Barry did refret this, Bob Barry, do you remember this one? Not very good. Certainly not at my level. These frets are not seated right, not even seated right down onto the fingerboard. Fret edges are pretty nice and smooth. Okay, I'm going to talk to the owner of this guitar and see what he wants me to do. But I'll say they're not very well seated. There's no point in me carrying on. I can just do the fret reprofiling like I was going to, because the fact they're not seated right, they still are pretty much level. I've leveled them anyway to a certain extent. So we can still work with that. It's not a problem. Thing is, refretting this is going to cost double what I've quoted. So I best talk to the owner and see where we are, and I'll move on to something else. Okay, the owner of this guitar has decided that he's not going for a refret. He's just going to let me continue with the work as the frets are. He knows they are not seated correctly down here. I can get the thumbnail under some of them. I would have recommended a refret myself, but you know, end of the day, he just said, can he pick the guitar up and leave it at that, and if he wants to work in the future, he'll contact me. And I says, well, you can't do that because I've got 3 hours in this already. So you can pay me for 3 hours and come and fetch it in bits, but that's no good to anyone. So says, look, if you're not going to have a refret, you may as well just get the work finished, because the frets are seated, they're just not seated as level as they ought to be. I can still level and recrown the frets. So I'm going to do that work. I'm going to replace the nut, set the guitar up. Frets are going to be levelled again now. They are off the guitar, because it's never a good level, nor a perfect level, unless you put it in the neck jig I've built. So I always like to put a removable neck on this screw to this piece of MDF. And what we're going to do is we're just going to give it one swish with a radius block with some 400 grit sandpaper, just to see if it removes this pen. If it does, we know the frets are level, and that's great. They're pretty much level anyway, so you don't get a perfect level. So there you go, some pen on the top of the frets, 400 grit sandpaper. And that, my friends, is level frets. All the pen is gone. Can I show you, get any closer? All the pen has been removed. So the frets are level. That's fantastic news. So we are going to recrown them. I'm just going to go across with the fret rocker and just check. Not going to move the camera, not going to zoom in anymore. Let's just sit back there and watch from there. I'm just going to check these frets are level. Perfectly level. I myself would recommend a complete refret on this. I'm not putting my name to this work because someone else has refretted this. This is refretted by, I remember the guy's name, some guy in Birmingham, supposed to have a good reputation. Really? Well, it's not at my level. But I am very, very picky. Check any of my reviews and see how thorough I am and what standards I work to. I don't do half-arse jobs. Now that said, these frets, even though they're not seated correctly, they are solid. They shouldn't go anywhere. And that's it. So I'm going to recrown these frets. So to enable me to do that, what I've got to do is I've got to tape up the whole fingerboard. 3 different widths of tape. 6mm, 19mm, 24mm. I'm going to tape up the fingerboard. I'll show you a little bit of it. Right to the top of the fretboard there. Just makes it easy to remove the tape later on. So I'm just taping up the edge of the neck and the fingerboard, just so it makes it easier to remove the tape later. The reason we do this is when I'm profiling the frets, I don't want to be digging into the wood with a file, even though the guy refretted this has sanded it that way, which is a no-no. I've been checking up on the guy who's got the sticker inside the neck pocket, who I don't know if he refretted it, but he's got a guy's sticker on there. His name is Bob Barry. That's him, from Birmingham. Bob Barry Repairs. I don't know if I showed that. I think I showed that. It's in the neck pocket there. Bob Barry Repairs in that round sticker. I would assume that's the guy who refretted it. I don't know. He's supposed to have a really good reputation, but then again, that said, I've had to repair quite a few refrets where the blokes have had a good reputation. In fact, I had to refret a guitar that had been refretted by a very, very famous guitar builder in England. And the refret he did was awful. I'm not going to say what guitar, I'm not going to say what it is, but the guitar was the Hamer, was it a Hamer at Chaparral last year? And I know who did the refret. I'm not going to say any more about it, but quite a few. But anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm taking up the fingerboard. So just the frets are exposed because we're working on the frets, not the fingerboard. I'm going to recrown these frets. Just going to check the time because I've got a haircut booked 45 minutes from now. So we're taping up the fingerboard like so. And what we'll do is, I'll show you a little bit of crowning. I'm going to show you a little bit on camera, just so I can crack on and get it all done off camera. So I'm going to be taping up the whole fingerboard like this, using various widths of tape, so we've got all of the fingerboard covered. Should I bring the camera in? No, I'm going to zoom in from there. That's to make do, and I'll try and show you what I'm doing as I do it. Right, so I'm going to be crowning these frets. What I've done is, because we've levelled them, we've flattened them across the top that way, and what we're going to do is going to rebuild that crown, which is this way. So imagine an upside down D going that way. We're going to rebuild that crown both sides, and that means we're just going to have a thin strip of the metal which touches the strings. It could be about 1/2 millimetre, and the way we do that is, the easiest way now to do it is to use a Z file by Stumag, which I bought a few months ago. Cost me about £125, and it's absolutely fantastic. And rather than show you, which you'll see, it's got a long cut one side, long cut on the far side, short cut on the near. Turn it over, long cut on the near side, short cut on the far side. And what that does is it cuts, and you do it both ways, and it doesn't touch the top. It leaves the centre. Leaves a very thin line on the centre, and it's a diamond file by Stumag. Not cheap, but so worth paying for. So I'm going to recrown one fret, and I'm going to show you that the file does the work. I don't have to. I'm going to use 2 files. I'm going to need a clean rag or clean cloth. File is always cleaned before and after, and it's just a matter of going both ways. Turn it over 180 degrees, and let me just show you there. You should see a thin black line down the centre of a fret. It means we've rebuilt that crown. I will go again just to make that line a little bit thinner. Fine, and once I've done that, I'll come across it with a profiling file like this one with the groove already in there, and this will remove any burrs or any unevenness. And that fret is now recrowned. If you look closely, you'll see a thin black line just down the centre. It means we've not lost any height, but we have recrowned the fret. I'm going to do the same. Just going to do the next one as well, just to show you again. Very simple, it's not rocket science. Turn it over 180 degrees, same again. Used to do this with a 3-edge file and do it by hand, but no need anymore. Now there's these great tools about. Take the profiling file again. And there you go. Nice thin black line down the centre. It means we've not touched the top. And just to check that everything is okay, we'll check for level again. And the frets are still level because we've not removed anything off the top. We have that thin line down the middle. That thin line is where the strings are going to hit. So that's it. It's how we crown frets. I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get the rest of them done. Once they're done, we're going to move on. Another reason why we've got everything taped up, we're going to move on to the polishing. The frets are now levelled and recrowned. The whole fingerboard is taped up. We've got a nice thin line down each fret. So we've got about 0.4 to 0.5 millimeters of the fret will be touching the string, or that the string will be touching about 0.4, 0.5 millimeter of fret, which is the desired width of the top of the crown. Next part of the process, we will be polishing the frets, and how I polish the frets is I will go through with 6 different grits of sandpaper, coming through the grits from 600 through to 2000. 6 different grits there. I'm just going to cut it to size. We can go straight down the middle there. I get 2 guitars worth out of this, and there you go. There is paper, 2000 grit, all the way down to 600, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500. I can separate it. And 2000, 6 different grits. Let's just show you it there. So it's different grits by the different colours. I'm going to polish the frets, all of them this way. And once that's done, we'll get the new nut on there, get the guitar set up, and get it finished. Hey guys, right, there's been a change of plan with this guitar, and a bit awkward for me really, because I suggested to the owner that we go for a refret rather than a fret level, because some of the frets were not seated correctly. Anyway, he couldn't afford it, didn't want to spend that money on it, so I went and did the fret level, and there you go. And I've done the fret level, I recrowned all the frets, blah 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 blah. I got them half polished, and he's decided he now wants to refret. So, as a gesture of goodwill, I've not said, well, I've told him, I says, look, I've done the work on that already. I says, it means I've worked out 2 hours for nothing. I says, but I'll tell you what I'll do, just as a gesture of goodwill, I'll do the refret. So I'll discard the 2 hours, not going to charge him for it. I did offer to do him a complete refret and all his electrics redone and everything, complete setup, the whole lot for 250 quid. So I'm going to stick to that. I've lost 2 hours. You know, it's no big deal, but what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be taking this back off of this piece of wood here, take the tape off, I'm going to remove the frets, and I'm going to refret it with 2.6mm Syntom's nickel silver fret wire, 18% nickel silver fret wire, fairly hard. Not what I'd normally use. I'd normally use a 25%, but I don't have any in stock at the moment, and he's changed his mind halfway through, so I'm going to go with that. It's still exceptionally good and hard fret wire. It is my chosen brand, Syntom's, and as I do have it in stock, it's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to measure these frets. We're looking to be about 2.6 millimeters wide, which is modern Fender size. So I'm just going to have a quick measure. If it is 2.6, I do have the fret wire in stock. Otherwise, I'm going to have to put it on hold and order some. But I'm thinking I've got it in stock. So zero this out. Just a quick measure of the frets. 2.63. So that's 2.6. Just have a quick measure again. You know, exactly 2.6 mil. And I've got that in stock, so it's what I'm going to use. 2.6 mil fret wire, only 18% nickel silver. I've been using the 25% lately. I don't have it in stock, so it's going to be 18. And for faffing about, it's pretty good. The frets were looking okay. I was just not 100% happy with them being seated correctly, because they're not. At least now I can put my name to the work. It's having a new nut, so basically it's going to have a complete refret, brand new nut, and I'm going to do the electrics. I'm going to redo the electrics. I'm not putting the blend in there because it's more expensive for me. I'm just going to fix his electrics. I'm going to get a tone. I might stick a blend pot in there. It depends how generous I'm feeling. In fact, you know what, sod it. I'll stick a blend pot in there as well. I'll redo his wiring for him. So it's going to have a complete rewire with a blend pot added. I'm going to create a master tone for all three pickups. So it gives us that blend pot, a separate pot. I'm going to install a new nut. A little bit more work, but makes it easier, makes it better, and it's something I can put my name to. It's a shame, because I'd have got it all right, but like I say, I didn't want to put my name to it. It's best all round, complete refret, and I'm going to crack on with it. I'm probably not going to show everything. I'm going to pull the frets out this afternoon. Hopefully we won't get any chip in. If not, it'll be great, much easier to refret, and it won't take me as long, so I'm going to crack on. So these frets are in really tight. They were glued in last time this guitar was refretted. So we're going to get some heat on there to get them out. Now, easy to get them out in the middle because they are raised. They're not seated perfectly. But at the edges, we're having a job. And even my GW fret pullers, which are really fantastic pullers, are struggling to get them out. So we're going to get some heat in there. We're going to use a Stumac chip stopper as well under the frets as we get them out. Self-explanatory, this will slide under the fret, either side of the tang, and as we raise the fret with the fret pullers, we slide this in and stop, or we're supposed to stop any chips happening. I do have an adapted soldering iron here. Don't use this for soldering at all anymore, it's just used for heating frets. Let's get some heat in there so we can soften the glue, it'll bring them out easier. We're putting same size fret wire back in. Get some heat in there, just soften the glue enough just so we can get them lifted. Takes a while. Right in at the edge. Once we're in at the edge, chip stopper slide in out. You can see from there. I can't get close enough to the camera. It's just a matter of sliding it in as you pull the fret. It should cut any chips, stop fingerball splitting, chipping, which it has. What we're going to do once that's done is, I know the fret slots are not deep enough. I have a fantastic fret slotting saw with a 1/2 mm curve. Get these blades special, the Sarco blades, or they're the Barco blades. They are exactly 1/2 mm, and what we're going to do is we're going to recut the fret slots and get rid of the old glue at the same time. And those, it's got a depth slot. Depth gauge on there so you can't go deeper than you need to. And that's it. It really is that simple. Next one. So I'll get some heat in there. Nice relaxing job, this one. Can't rush taking frets out. We're going to re-radius the fretboard as well. 9.5 inch radius. We're just going to sand it all down. Shouldn't get any chipping on this, with it being rosewood. Rosewood is the easiest of the woods to remove frets from. There's no hissing from the glue, so try and get right in at the edge if we can. Sometimes you just cut straight into the fret. We're not even getting in there, look. Now we're under. Chip stopper again. It's definitely been refretted before. There you go, another one out. And that's it. I'm going to crack on, get all these out. Once it's done, I'm going to show you how we re-radius the whole board. We are going to do the whole board. Pretty simple. And come back for that. So frets are out. Now that's pretty straightforward. What we need to do before we put the new frets in is, I've gone down and re-sawn all of the slots so we're all at the right depth. But before I can put frets in, what I need to do is get the neck straight, which I've got it straight. We're just being across, altered the truss rod. And there you go, that neck is dead straight. So what we're going to do is make sure it's all firm, everything firm down. And what we're going to do is we're going to re-sand the whole fingerboard. We're going to re-radius it. So we're going to take a 9.5 inch radius beam here. We're going to need to get some sandpaper on there. I'm going to go with some 240 grit, which I've cut to just over length. We need to get that to fit. Now we're going to do that is we're going to tape up this gubbins right here. Need to tape up this beam, get some sandpaper on there. So we're going to use double-sided sticky tape, but not until we've masking taped everything first. The reason we use masking tape will become self-apparent. It is a lot easier to peel off than double-sided sticky tape. So we're going to go across the end. I should have moved the old camera, shouldn't I, really, to show you this properly. But you'll get the idea. You'll see why I'm doing these ends in a minute. This is super low-tech masking tape. In fact, it's hardly got any stick on it at all. Might get something a bit better for next time. But you'll see why I use this in a minute. You see what we're doing? We're going to cover the whole. Need to make sure we don't get any overlap. Like so. You see what I'm doing there? Creating a nice flat base. Nice and flat, that's perfect, as we are. One layer should do. We're going to do exactly the same. Some double-sided sticky tape. This gubbins, because we've got an overlap on one side there, we're going to start it from this side. Really easy. Need a scissor. Job done, fold over. And again this side I'm going to do a little tiny bit of an overlap or an underlap. You're thinking now that bit in the middle is going to be not going to be wide enough for that tape. You're absolutely right, because we're going to go with a different size tape in the middle. We're going to go with this one. And that's going to create a nice base for sandpaper. This should just go inside. That's perfect. And there you go. And when I peel off the top side of this, we can stick 240 grit, and we're going to have a radius block. So I'm going to crack on with that. Going to get this all peeled off in a second. Got something trying to infiltrate under my nail there. So get that all smoothed down. Get me a Stanley blade. A couple of ways I can do this. I can do it that way or I can do it this way. Just need to get a start, but we need to leave the sticky tape there. Can be a while getting this done right, but once you've started like so, there you go. Don't want anything overlapping anywhere. Tamper that down, nice and flat. Can be a bit finicky this. Really quite good. Out of the way. We're going to get a bit of an overlap here, that's okay. We do want a bit of an overlap. We're going to take it right to the edge, like so. That's pretty good. We now have, well, we're going to have in a minute, a sanding block. I'm going to take that down there. I'm going to hold it down, take the blade, and you see how we're going with that. And there you go, we have a sanding beam. We're just going to tear this down, follow the gradient. And there we have a sanding beam, and it's just a matter of, now we know we're level, check one more time. Good job of checking there's too much in there. So that's why we'll let it settle 5 minutes, you see. Oh, that's a little bit too much. A little bit more. Very close, we want it to be spot on. Let that settle for a minute. Just a little bit, it's too much. You see though it fell over there, we want to be just about there. That's going to be about right. That is looking pretty good. Just a smidgen more. Pretty much where we were. That's bang on. That's great. Making sure we've got no back bow anywhere, and we have not. That's good enough for me. That's super. So there we go. And it's just a matter now of leveling the fingerboard. Get all the rubbish out of the way. Now I could have this in a vise, but the table's going to be fine. Just say it's good for me. One final check, because this is critical to get this right. Because if this is level, the fret's going level. Right, we are very good there. Tiny little bit of a dip in there, which we knew about anyway. So I'm happy with that. And we're just going to, just a few strokes. You see that it's taking the edges more than the top. It means it's not a perfect 9.5 inch radius, this neck. See where it's taking off the edge, but not the middle. So we're going to get right down till it's taking stuff off the middle. Could take a bit of work. And what I'll do is I will go and check with a radius gauge, because it's certainly taking more off the edges than the middle. So let's see where we are. Well, we're definitely 9.5. Yep, very good. That's excellent. Okay, we'll carry on. What we can do as well is we can clean this by brushing it off. I'm just going to bring the camera back so you can see what I'm doing. Smell, we can smell that rosewood. Sight down here to this end just to have a look to make sure we're getting a nice even radius. A bit lower on this corner. That figures. You can see this side where we've not quite hit it. It's looking a lot better though. Going to hit it with some 400 grit, not with that one, that's 12. 9.5 again with some 400 grit. And that looks pretty good. No chips to repair, it's all nice and clean. Clean it up with a little bit of naphtha. Closest thing we have to naphtha in England is lighter fluid. Zippo lighter fluid. It is basically pure naphtha. You don't get naphtha in England. You do get Zippo lighter fluid. I'm just going to give it a wipe over it clean with this. Any excess will evaporate. Find out what I've done with my cloth in a minute. And there you go, a beautifully clean and level fingerboard. So we're now ready to put new frets in there. Check the radius again. Beautiful, check for level. Oh, it's wonderful. We've lost that dip at this end. There's still a tiny bit of it left, but it was a lot more pronounced before. Right guys, we are ready for new frets. Super. Slight revision to the fret wire we're using. I didn't have Syntons in stock. I have something actually better. I have Hosco, which is Japanese. I used to use this all the time. The only thing with Hosco is not as high as I normally use, but this is certainly wide enough. Hosco, 2.6mm wide by 1.17, or for sake of argument, 1.2mm high. 18% nickel silver, made in Japan. I always used to use this stuff. It's only since I started using 25% stuff from Syntons that I stopped using this. Thing is, this, it needs bending to the radius of a fingerboard. I'm going to slightly over radius. So to get it from that to that, we need to use a fret bending tool. And I happen to have one. Of course I have one. And it's a really simple machine. You just insert the fret wire one side. Once you've adjusted where it needs to be. I've already done a test piece, it works fine, it's the right size. And once you've started it off, it's just a matter of winding your fret wire, pulling it through, and I like to do it both ways, so I do it one way, then the other, and there you go, and that's the fret wire bent. Slightly over radius, but it'll press in absolutely fine. I'm going to do the first piece again. And there you go. And that's it, that's bending the fret wire. Once the fret wire is bent, you will notice it's probably got a little bit more of a radius than it needs, just slightly. That's fantastic. And what we do is then we're going to cut it more or less to size. Now I'm only going to get 4 pieces up this end out of one strip, but that's okay. Going to snip off there. And what I like to do is I like to cut the tang, or the bit that sticks out at the bottom, a thin piece there. I like to cut a little bit of that off as well. So I'm going to pull out my tang nippers. Again, great piece of kit. These are made also by Syntons. I'll show you what these do in a minute. You can see there, if you want to pause that and have a look, it removes the end of the tangs. I'm going to show you exactly what it does. That's the fret. This bit hanging underneath is called the tang, and we're just going to slightly remove the edge of that tang. Very simple. Get it in the mechanism there. Give it a snip, and see there, I remove that little bit of the tang. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these to more or less exact width. So I'm going to go just a little bit over on this one. And I'm basically going to cut these frets to the right width for the slot they're going in. Not enough on there, just go a little bit more. There you go. That looks to be pretty good. And that's it, and that's going to fit. And once I'm happy with where it sits, I'm going to nip off the end, like so. And that's it, that fret is cut to width, tang's right, and we're going to stick it in the block. Fret 21, in you go, 20 more to do, pretty much the same thing. There's a little bit of overhang there. Cut it off, remove a bit of a tang. And again, that's there, nip the end, fret 20, cut. You see how that works? Got to do that, going to slap them all in there, right hole. Once it's done, we can go and get them in. Okay guys, I've set up my fretting station, fret press all lined up, 9.5 inch coil in there. I have a runner for the neck, that will be self-explanatory in a minute. I have a bowl of hot, slightly soapy water over here with a damp cloth. Well, I'm just bringing the cloth out, so it will be damp in a minute. I also have some tight bond glue, regular tight bond. Frets are there, hammers there, everything's set up ready to go. Got to put some tight bond in the slots. It's not going to glue the frets in, it's just used as filler. Some people think this is a good idea, others don't. I actually think it is. And we're not going to mess about, we're going to get some glue in these slots, probably do 4 at a time. And yes, looks messy, thinking how you're going to get all that cleaned up. Don't you worry about that. I'm going to get some glue in the slots, like so. We're going to take damp cloth we mentioned earlier, wipe off the excess, and you'll see that there's glue filling those 4 slots, like so. Bit of glue on there, we'll get rid of that. And I'm going to take the frets all measured, and I'm just going to tap them in. Numbered, sequential, cut. Make sure we overlap each side ever so slightly. Should really need to explain what I'm doing. And there you go. And once we have the frets in at one side, lined up, it's just a matter of pressing them in. We'll get some glue squeeze out, which we're going to address shortly. Didn't quite get that one lined up properly, that's okay. And there we go, we have 4 frets pressed in, some squeeze out there. We're going to wipe up the squeeze out. And I'm going to check the level as we go along. I'll take a dry cloth as well. 4 frets in, well seated, right up to the edge or overlapping. They should be sat really nicely. So here we are guys, the frets are in, the neck is clamped. I did it in 2 hours, I did it off this morning, off this afternoon. I did it off this morning because while I was working on my neck I got a phone call asking me to go in. I was waiting for a scan at the hospital. I've been and had my scans and I've come back and finished this off. Scan results by the way are negative, which is what we wanted. I've got nothing to worry about. But the neck is now done, the frets are in, and we are clamped. I'm going to stick another clamp on this end. I'm going to leave this probably overnight. Maybe I'll work a bit more on it tonight, I don't know. If I do work on it tonight, I'm going to get the bevels done and we'll do some levelling. Will I film it? I'm not sure. The light's not so good in here at night time, but I might do it. Depends how much I do today and whether I do it. I might just get up in the morning and get the bevels and the levelling done tomorrow. Be a lot better that way. Really pleased with how the frets have gone in. They're more or less level, couple of high spots here and there, but nothing to worry about. Very happy with the refret. And so come back tomorrow and we'll crack on and work on those frets. Hey guys, I apologise if you can hear music. It's from next door and there's nothing I can do about it, but I just want to show you with the frets all in, pressed in, what we're going to do is we're going to bevel these edges, and I've already done this side. You can see I've got the neck secured in a vise, and I use 3 different tools for doing the bevels. I just use different ones, but for today I'm going to show you what I'm using. Now first we need to edge the frets, that's remove whatever's protruding on the edge. And I use a flat file. I predominantly bought this for fret levelling years ago, but it's too coarse for fret levelling. So what we'll do is we take this one and we'll file the frets to the edge and we'll bring in the bevel like so. Once I've got them edged properly, meaning I'm not cutting into the rosewood, I'll then go with this diamond file. I've already done this side, like I say. Diamond file, and we'll just smooth off all the frets. And once I've finished there, I'm going to take a sanding block with some 400 grit paper, and we're just going to smooth off the edges so there's nothing protruding. Now a friend of mine out in Denmark there, Kenny Berg, he's been having problems with the edge of the frets sticking out, and what you need to be using is one of these sanding blocks, rubber sanding block with some 400 grit on there, and anything sticking out, this is going to smooth it all off. So you can see I've angled the bevel, I've gone to about 20 degrees, I've done it all by hand. I don't do a 35-degree bevel like is sometimes recommended because I believe it's too much. I like more of the fret, and that's that side done. So I'm going to do a quick show of the other side. I'm just going to brush off the excess we've got there, and you can see that side is done and it's looking beautiful. Very small bevel. If you look at the bevel there, try and hold it straight for a minute, very slight bevel, not too much at all. And we're going to do the same on this side. And again, neck in the vise, give it one extra turn. And I'm going to show you basically how we do that. I'm not going to do it in its entirety. We're going to take the file. You see I haven't got it flat, I've got it slightly angled so I don't cut into the wood. And we're going to level the edges because these edges are all sticking out. And it's going to take me a while. It's just a matter of going down the whole length of the neck and trying to get these closer. We've still got a lot of protruding metal there. I will take it more or less level once I get close to the edge. You can see just at a slight angle, just so I don't cut into the wood. This is going to take me a while, so I will come back once I've done the whole length of the neck. Like here for instance, we've got one sticking right out, you'll hear it. So I'm going to crack on with this. It will take me a while, and I will come back when we are close to where I need to be, and I'll show you how I finish them off. So I have gone as close as I can get just using this flat coarse file. The reason I use this is it removes a lot of material in one go, and they're flat, you see, it's hardly touching anything. So angling, just making the bevel, and I can do a little bit more, but I don't want to be cutting into the rosewood, so I'm going to keep checking the progress. By experience, I know that's pretty good, I know that's pretty smooth. So once I get to that kind of area, checking that the bevel's nice slight bevel there, I will then move on to the file. Again, nice diamond file. This is used for leveling frets, but again, I think it's a little bit coarse. So I'm going to just use this just for doing the bevel. I'm going to keep it at the same angle along the whole length. And I can tell once I start getting rosewood on the file, I know I've gone close enough. And already I'm quite happy with where I am right there. Making sure I'm not coming across the edge of the end of the neck to ding anything. And I'm liking that angle of bevel there. We're about 15 degrees. We're still a little bit of sharpness on the edge, but I'll get rid of that just using the edge of this sanding block. And again, pretty much the same. And that's really as difficult as it is. I'll start bringing it down to a little bit toward flatness, not quite flat. So I'm rolling it over slightly that way. I am very happy with where that is. Just to bring that colour back into the rosewood at the edge there, take a little bit of lemon oil that we use for treating the fingerboard, and there you go. And that, I can get a little bit closer than I am with that, but that feels pretty good to me. And I am a little bit more. I'm going to take a little bit more off. Could go with a smoother file if I wanted to. I can take my Swiss file. So number 4 cut, super smooth. Swiss file by Valorbe, my favourite file this is. So smooth yet so sharp. This is a super flat file. Bring it back towards straight just to make sure we've got no burrs over the edge. That's feeling really nice. Then I'll finish off again with the sanding block. And that is it. Now, any slight sharpness on the edge of these bevels we'll remove with the file once we've got everything taped up and we do the edges of the bevels. What we're going to do first though is now we are now ready to level the frets. I'm just going to show you the edges there. If you want to pause that and zoom in, that's up to you, but that feels beautiful. Both sides really, really smooth. You can't feel the frets down the edge there. Really, really nice. And that's it. So we're going to move on to the next stage, which will be the leveling, and then we'll cut those bevels in. Okay, fret leveling. This is my preferred way on a removable neck. And what I do is I use the neck plate, which is underneath this piece of 3mm thick MDF with drilled holes for a fender. I have basically shims beneath the neck so I can have the headstock raised, and what I do is I get the neck perfectly straight. It's basically secured tight to this MDF. I set it straight as I can by ultra truss rod. Once I've done that, I will stick a stack of business cards underneath so the neck stays straight, doesn't move, and I'll go on and mark the frets that need work. Now obviously I'm going to be leveling the whole fingerboard anyway, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the material that's particularly high in certain areas before I do the lot, otherwise I'll be here all day with a levelling beam and keep changing sandpaper. This way I can just use a good file and get the frets where they need to be. So I'm just going to show you where I am with the fret rocker. A couple of particularly high ones here. Some relatively high spots down this end. That's not so bad. Bit of a rock there. And you get the you get how it works. And there you go, I've shown you where all the rocking areas are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spot level all these areas and these areas down here. And once that's done, once we start touching the frets that don't need work, we can come across with a radius beam or a leveling beam. A radius block or a leveling beam, should I say. So I'm going to grab two files in particular. Here's the one I bought from Chris Allsop on eBay. Perfectly flat, quite a coarse, it's a diamond file, but quite coarse, but also a little bit smooth. So I'm going to start with this one. I actually will resort to my Swiss Valorbe file, which is number 4 cut, super smooth, super sharp, one perfectly flat side. So what I normally use, this has a handle on it, so I can just go and basically attack these particularly high ones here. Following the radius. And like I say, this one's a little bit brutal, but I'm able to see the ones that need the work, and that is now more or less level. That's still high. You don't have to worry about being brutal and causing scratches on the frets, because we're going to polish all the scratches out anyway. Everyone has their own method of doing this. This is just a method I'm using at the moment. But we're going to check. And there you go, we're looking pretty good there now. And we do have these frets level at this end. Okay, a little bit more work here. Down to this end now. And it doesn't take long, as you can see. And I'm going to check the areas that needed levelling. That was still high. And when I'm quite happy that we're more or less level along the whole length, we're going to come in with a leveling beam. You may as well stay, I may as well keep the camera running. A lot of people put some fall away in the last 8 or 9 frets. I, as a rule, don't, unless it's been asked for. I do like a nice level fingerboard or level frets along the whole length of the neck. I will offer to someone if we want some fall away putting in. I will add some, but it's not my preferred method. That way I know if I get any pinging or anything, I've not levelled my frets correctly. Right, and those frets are level. So what we're going to do is we are going to pen them up. I'm going to first go across with a radius beam, believe it or not. And if this pen comes off in 2 or 3 strokes, I'll level my frets are level along the whole length. And I'll come across. I've got some 240 grit on the leveling beam at the moment, and I'll finish off with 400 grit. Once I've got the radius right with 400 grit, we'll get the neck taped up or fingerboard taped up. And we'll get on to crowning and polishing. Oh, and doing the edge, the bevels at the edge. I've got these beveled to about 20 degrees, which I prefer. I like a nice wide fret. So anyway, let's just go. For sake of argument, we're going to take the 9.5 inch radius sanding beam, which I use to re-radius the fingerboard. Just going to give it a brush down, and we're just going to check a few strokes just to see where we are. Move the body out of the way. Just a little bit on these edges here. And that is all of the pen removed. Oh, a little tiny bit there. We'll go back. We'll just turn this around just for argument's sake. And that is the frets levelled, all the pen has gone. Happy with that, and I'm going to do exactly the same with another radius beam with some 400 grit on there. Once the level is done, I'm going to go with 400 grit just to remove some of these scratches. But once that is all done, we're going to tape up the fingerboard, like I said. We can get these bevels, edges of the bevels all done. In fact, I'll do the re-crowning first, then we can do the beveled edges. We can sand them over, get everything all smooth. Get everything ready for polishing. I do have a wooden sanding block with 400 grit on there. It's just a matter of finding it. I think it is out somewhere because it is not over there. Tumty tumty tum. Here it is. Again, used sandpaper, been used a few times, so it's going to be very, very smooth. 400 grit on there, 9.5 inch radius. And all of the pen has gone. So we have perfectly level and radiused frets along the whole length of the neck. To make sure I've got a uniform width on the flatness of the frets. A bit flatter this end than they are at this. I'm going to work a little bit more here, and I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check for level across the whole length, and I'm going to really take my time with this now. I know these are going to be level. And voila, frets are level down the whole length of the fingerboard. Just checking for height changes. Nice and high at this end, nice and high at this end. They're beautiful. We will have at least 1.1 millimeters height on all of these frets along the whole length. Now I can't round off these beveled edges yet until I have the frets re-crowned. So I'm going to get the masking tape, I'm going to tape up the whole fingerboard between the frets because the neck is as level as it needs to be. We don't need to check the level again, that's all done. And we're going to come in, we're going to re-crown the frets. So where the frets are flat, going this way, we're going to rebuild that crown going this way, like an upside down D shape or a D shape on its side. Basically we're looking for a semicircle at the edges and along the whole length. So yeah, that's all fantastic, very pleased with that. Like I said, I'm going to get all taped up off camera. Once I'm ready for re-crowning and sorting out these beveled edges, I will come back and show you the work and how I do it. For those of you who have not seen frets being crowned, I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'll be using a combination of files to do so. Not only am I crowning the frets, I'm also going to roll over the beveled edges. So what we're looking to do here is, you'll notice with the marker pen that these frets are now flat across the top where I leveled them that way. And what we're going to do is we're going to re-crown these frets, and we're going to build it up where it's flat along this cross section. We're going to rebuild that crown, so we're going to remove material from both sides. Now in the old days I'd have used a 3-cornered file to do so with safe edges, basically a triangle file, and I'd have carved a little bit over and I'd have rolled the file over and built it up. That's how on this side I'd have rolled it over that way, and we'd have left a nice thin strip down the centre of the fret. But with modern technology and modern methods, I no longer need to do that because I have a Z file from Stumac, and this has 2 cuts, and it has a long side and a short side there. You flip it 80 degrees and it's in reverse, a short side and a long side. This is a diamond file. It's a fantastic piece of kit, and what this does is this will crown or remove the edges for me, but it will not touch the top of the fret, so it will leave that thin line down the centre. The thin line down the centre is the contact point between the top of the fret and the string, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. And it's just a few strokes with the Z file, one way, and another way, and that has left a thin line down the centre. Now it's not quite thin enough yet, so I'm going to go again, always cleaning file. I'm just going to remove slightly more material, but again not touching the top of the fret. Just want to go a little bit thinner. The fact that it's not touching the fret shows us that it's not removing any height. Now once I'm quite happy with how that looks, I'm going to then take a crowning file, a bit more coarse, but it's already got the groove in there, and we're just going to round it over to remove any unevenness or any burrs at the edge. And you'll now see a nice thin black line down the centre of the fret. That is crowned enough for me. Clean the file, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take file number 3, which is a Swiss made file by Valor. It's a number 4 cut, super smooth. I'm going to give it a clean, super smooth but super sharp. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to round it over the bevels, so where the bevels are still a bit sharp, I'm going to take the file. It's got a safe edge at the bottom, we've got tape on the fingerboard so we can't cut into fingerboard. Now I'm going to basically use my finger as a guide, and I'm going to roll over that side, roll over that side, and roll over the centre, and that removes any burrs I've got. When I do the other side, I'll turn this round and I'll work on the other side. So running this way, I'm just going to do the far side, and that removes any burrs or any sharpness there. And once we sand these over, they're going to be super smooth at the edges. Now I've noticed that line is a little bit more than I would like it to be, so I'm going to go back to my old 3-corner file. Don't use this a lot. In fact, I'm not going to use that one, I've got a better one than that. Let's get back to, there we go. A nice 3-corner file there. All these edges are safe edges, they are ground smooth. And just because that's a little bit thicker than I'm going to go back to my old method, and basically I'm going to create this by hand. I'm going to roll it toward the camera. And you see as I roll it towards the camera, it's going to make that line just that little bit thinner on top, and that is a better crown. Again, come back to the profiling file. I have a diamond one of these as well. that one is done. I'm going to take my fret rocker and we're going to check these 3 frets. If I've removed height from this fret, this one will rock. Straight on there. And there you go, that is perfect. Again, I'm going to show you one more. Profiling file. Nice thin black line down the centre as it should be. Again, safe edge down, just roll it over, roll it over, roll it over. Any burrs removed, check the height again. And that is that one done. One more just for good luck. Clean the file. Nice thin black line. Clean the file. Safe side down, roll over, roll over and roll over. That's any burrs removed, and that is beautiful. Check the height. That's fantastic. Check one back and one forwards. And there you go, we have 3 done, all ready for polishing. I've got the rest to do, so I'm going to crack on, get these all penned up. I'm going to get them all recrowned. Once that's done, we will be ready to crack on with the polishing. And there we go, with the frets all levelled, recrowned. The bevels have been, well, bevels have been done, the bevels have also been rolled over with a fine file. So we're ready now to get the sandpaper out. We're going to go across with 6 different grits of sandpaper. I'll first take some 600 grit and I'll roll over these edges, and then we'll go through 6 grits. Grits being 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000. So in effect 6 grits plus a round over. What I'll be doing is polishing just this way to remove the scratches we've put in this way. Polishing does 2 things. 1, it removes the scratches, and 2, it brings the frets to a shine. Chances are with this neck being a removable neck, I will do the final polishing with some finest grade steel wool, which will bring them up to a super sheen. And once that's done, we can get the neck back on the guitar, get a new nut on there, and we can get it all set up. I'm not going to show me doing the sanding or doing the fret polishing because I've got other jobs on and I really want to crack on with it. Plus I'm going to be losing my light, so it's not going to make the best video anyway. You've all seen me do it many times before, like I say, going through with 6 different grits, finishing off with steel wool. Once that's done, I'll bring you back and we're going to fit the nut, then we're going to get the neck back on the guitar. Okay guys, I've dropped off the neck for a while because only the frets need polishing there, and we're having a look at the electrics. Now the electrics weren't working that great. I wasn't convinced they were working right, but what we're going to do, we're going to change the electrics anyway. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove this pot, which is the second tone pot that sits closer to the input jack. We're going to make the middle pot into a master tone. So instead of that being toned just on the, I believe it's just on the neck pickup, and this one will be the middle pickup, we're going to have a master tone for all 3 pickups. Bridge, middle, neck. 1 master tone, 1 master volume. We're going to remove this pot. We're going to place a CTS no load pot in there, 250k no load tone pot. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us other options. It's going to be a blend pot, and what that will do is, with the blend pot fully on at 10, we're going to get the normal 5 options, which I will read out to you, which are bridge, bridge and middle, middle, middle and neck, neck. But when you've got the blender turned all the way the opposite direction, you've got bridge with neck faded in, bridge and middle with neck faded in. Position 3 is just middle as normal. Position 4, middle and neck with bridge faded in, and position 5, neck with bridge faded in. So you can have all three pickups on. You can have neck and bridge and neck, any of those options, or middle on its own. Under normal configurations, bridge and middle, just middle, neck and middle and neck, and just neck. So you're getting two extra options being bridge and neck together, or all three pickups on together. That's basically it. And we're going to have to jiggle some of these wires. We're going to have to desolder some stuff, remove that pot. We're going to have to move the capacitor just onto this pot. So I'm going to strip everything off here. I'm going to remove this pot completely, put a new no load pot in there. Great things these. I'm doing this mod for nothing. I'm even chucking that in for nothing. These pots are about £7, £8. Just because I said I would do it in the price, you know, quoted. Now I'm just going to look at these pickups. These are House of Tone pickups. I know nothing about them. I'm going to grab my iPad and have a look. I didn't know it was non-standard pickups in here. It means the guitar's going to sound really nice, I imagine. Let me just type in. No. Why is it doing that? Right. For some reason it's taking me to a BBC site. We'll get rid of that. We'll close some pages. Let's go. House of Tone Strat pickups. Let's see what we can find out. Let's just totally ignore me there. Right, let's close all the pages. Go again. I've never upgraded my browser on this iPad since I've got an iPad Air 2 this is. I've never looked at all the browsers. I could probably get something better than Safari. House of Tone Strat pickups. Let's go. No, it's not doing anything. Right, UK made. House of Tone Special S-Type 1960 pickups review. Okay. Based in Chester, UK. Very good. Very interesting. Hand wound pickups made in the UK. Let your ears decide. Pickups, sounds, videos, reviews. Straight to pickups. Single coils, please. 1960s S-Types, doesn't say what they are. 160 quid for a set of three. Expensive pickups. Well, not expensive, but certainly not cheap. Texas TS types. I should see the bobbins at the back. I would go for them. 160 for a set of three. SRV tones. Certainly go for them. 68 special F types. So we don't know what pickups these are, but they are about 150, 160 quid for a set of three. Very Guitar Award Choice 9 out of 10. Gear of the Year 2015. Highly commended. Right, very, very good pickups. Didn't know that. So, anyway, looking back at the wiring options, I've got my soldering iron. It's a Hakko FX 888. I've had it quite a while now. Bought it last year. Seems to be pretty good. I'm going to desolder everything and we're going to have a look. We're going to basically run with this diagram. I can't remember where I got it from. It's going to be fantastic anyway. And I'll get back to you and show you the results. So that is a really simple rewire. All we do is reroute some of these wires, the pickup wires, blah blah blah. Everything is all on one side now, where it's using both sides before. No jumper leads, so we've got less wires on there. This is the new no-load tone pot there. Well, it's not a tone pot, it's a blend pot. We just had to reconfigure where the capacitor goes. We had to snip a wire there, earth it to the centre of the pot. Just reroute a couple of wires. All I've got to do now is wire in the jack plug, which is on here, and reconnect the earth wires. And that is really simple. The new knob, well, the knob is on that pot there. You see this pot's a little bit bigger than the older ones. Hangs a little bit lower, but there's still plenty of room there in the cavity. So 10 position off, 1 position fully on. This will bring in either the bridge or the neck pickup, depending on where we've got this. If we're on the neck pickup, for instance, we can bring the bridge pickup by just turning that fully off. Same again, if we're on the bridge pickup, we can bring the neck pickup in just by doing that. Same again with these two pickups, we can bring in the neck. With these two pickups, we can also bring in the bridge. And any of these positions, we can have all three on, or these two, any combination whatsoever. Really, really simple mod. One of my favourite mods. I'm not putting a tone bleed circuit on the treble on the bridge, no need, or on the volume, no need at all. And that's it. So I'm going to get this all wired back up, get it back in the guitar, and we can go back and work on the neck. So we're going to test the electrics. We are just in the bridge position. Working. Off, off, on. We're going to turn this and we're going to bring in the neck pickup. How good's that? So now we have in the number one position, bridge with neck. Get back to normal, just bridge. Or bridge and neck. How good's that? Put it in this position, you'll have bridge and middle, neck off. Bring the neck in, bridge, middle, neck. In the middle, in all areas, just the middle. Doesn't do anything else to any other pickup. Here we have just got middle, neck, no bridge. We can bring the bridge in, middle, neck, bridge. How good's that? Then here we just got neck, middle off, bridge off. We can bring in the bridge, neck, middle off, bridge. So we've got bridge on and neck on in the neck position, bridge on, neck on, no middle. So we have all combinations. We can have this on its own, this on its own, this on its own, these two together, these two together, these two together, and all three on at the same time. Let's check the master tone. Position 1, bridge. Yep. Position 3, middle. And position 5, neck. There you go. Tones working on all of them, volume on all of them. So we have a master volume, all three pickups, a master tone, all three pickups, and a blend pot, which will bring the bridge in with these two or this, or it'll bring the neck pickup in with these two or just this. That's all the combinations you've got. Great little mod, and that is now ready to be screwed back down. I'm going to tidy the wiring up in there, screw it back down, then I can move on, go and get the frets polished, and we will be finished. And here we are polishing the frets, and it is not the most rewarding, well, it's not the most exciting part of the job, but it is the most rewarding when you get to peel off the tape. And we're going through with 6 different grits of sandpaper, 2.5 I've already used. And it's just a matter of getting over the fret, polishing it over the top like so, and getting into the corners again like so. Yeah, it's better to try this and experience it rather than me to explain it, but pretty simple. Just go straight over the top of the fret like so. I've already done these back here. Over the top, I always wet the back of the tape of the sandpaper with my finger so I get a good grip on there. Over the top, then in each side into the corners there. And once you've used 1/3 of the paper, as I have, I'll then use a middle section to do the middle section of the frets, and then I'll use the far side to do the last of the frets. This will do all. This will do a 24 fret neck with this amount of sandpaper. A little goes a long way. And over the top, into the corner, and into the near side. And as I move to the next fret, I'll move slightly over with the paper, so I'm using a bit of raw paper that's not been used before. And it takes a while. We're going 6 times 21, which is 126. I've already done it with I did some 400 grit as well, so another 21 on top of that, so 157. And then I'll be doing steel wool, so that's 178 different polish, 178 polishes altogether, including the steel wool. Some is 178, could be more. Let's work it out. We'll be looking at 168, 8 times 21. But there you go, you get the idea. And this is what happens to your fingers. Be careful, because some of this paper, like this one for instance, has got aluminium in it. You'll want to wash this straight off as soon as you've done, and pray over yourself that the aluminium doesn't harm you, because it is very, very poisonous. In fact, it's aluminium that killed my dad. My dad died riddled with cancer, and he polished aluminium all his life. He used to come in black from aluminium dust. He was dead at 59, absolutely riddled with cancer, God bless him. So yeah, be careful, watch what your sandpaper's got in it. Anyway, that's how we polish frets. I've got 3 more bits of paper to go after this one. And then I'll finish off with steel. I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 7 left. I'll do 7 with that end of the paper there. So, not a difficult job. And it brings great results. It's a little bit boring though. This is why I do what I do. Look at the frets. They are stunning. Look at that shine. That is just a thing of beauty now. Frets are done, they're in, they're polished. All that I need to do now with this is I need to oil the fingerboard, fit the nut, get the nut on there, and we can get this back on the guitar. That is as good a fret job as I've ever done. It is a thing of beauty. I love doing refrets. It's the least financially rewarding of all the jobs that I do, because it takes the longest and I get the least hourly rate on refrets, but these are the jobs that bring me the most satisfaction. That is just a thing of beauty. I absolutely love it. That is beautiful. I love taking these Mexican guitars, these Mexican Strats, and making them brilliant. But once this is all cleaned up and the fingerboard has been oiled, I know Aid, who owns this guitar, is going to be absolutely over the moon with this refret. It's just stunning. And that is why I do what I do. Back soon. Okay, I've had to move over to the evening bench because we lost the light now. It's quite dusky outside. So I've got the tuners back on. I've fitted the nut. The nut is not cut yet, and I've just sprayed the fingerboard with some mineral oil. You know, it's lemon oil. And this is going to really bring out the shine on these frets and the fingerboard. Remember, I did re-radius the fingerboard ever so slightly and sand it down to 400 grit. So it's going to be super, super smooth. This oil is really going to bring the grain out. It's going to look fantastic. I've put more oil on there than I actually need. But the nut is glued in, super glue. I used actually a super glue gel, Gorilla Glue gel. Bought that by accident, thought it was thin. It wasn't. It's not thin CA glue at all. It's really thick. But anyway, we're going to get some oil in there. And that looks amazing. You can really see that green's really popping now. We will just give it a slow wipe. I'm going to let that soak in a few minutes. And what I can do is going to get a string tree back on. I'm going to put my neck back on the guitar. Now the nut is a tuss nut. I have had to file it and sand it down and thin it to make it fit the slot, but look, it is precision fitted. There's no gaps anywhere. It is a radius nut. And it looks fine, but I've still got to shape the top. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to get some strings on, make sure that we're happy with where these slots are, because it came pre-slotted. I'm going to make sure I'm happy. If I'm happy with where I would like to probably bring the strings in just a little bit, but if we get away with that, because I go with a high and a small amount of bevel on the frets. So these frets are coming right up to about 1.5 millimeters at the edge of the board, so we might be fine where they are. I would like to come a little bit more inside where they are though, I'm thinking. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to let this dry I'm going to put the neck on, in fact I'll put the neck on the guitar now, might as well, because there's nothing else going to be happening in the meantime. So, the guitar is ready, as seen earlier. I've done all the electrics, I've added the blend pot in there, and we're just going to basically get the neck plate on there, get the screws on there. I will do it off camera, and I don't know whether we're going to cut the nut tonight or tomorrow morning, so I may come back in the morning when the light's better. But here's the neck plate, and the neck plate, I'm going to put that on now, so the guitar will be in one piece. I'm thinking, I've had enough for today, it's getting a little bit dark. I'll probably finish this off in the morning when the light's better. So I'm hoping that this nut is far too high, so I can not use these grooves that are pre-cut into the nut, because I actually think these slots are a little bit close to the edge of the neck, and ideally I would like this kind of string spacing where the blue ones are, where the blue lines are, and that is about 1 millimetre inside, so I'll be looking at having the slots 0.5 millimetre inside of these. I'm thinking that's not probably quite not low enough. You know, so I may have to actually use them grooves and just see how we get away with it. I mean, it'll be fine. It's just I personally would like the strings a little bit more inside at the nut end than they actually are. I could probably just angle them slightly when I cut the slots, because I'm going to have to recut the slots anyway. We're nowhere near deep enough. Now we're going to put on, oh there you go, that's interesting, there's no drill hole for the string tree. Means I'm probably going to have to drill one, so I'm going to find out which way these go. Did they go this way or did they go that way? I think they go the other way. That hole's too big for there. That hole is actually for the screw. So I could either snap this pin off the end, which I'm not going to do, or drill another pinhole back there. Let me just go and have a look and see where the string trees actually go. Page, Strat, string, tree. Well, we'll look at some images and see which way they go. I think I know which way they go. Images. Let's have a look. Right, okay. That's the old style I'm looking at. Right, okay. Okay. This bit goes to the front. So that little hole is going to be drilled behind. I didn't know I was doing that. Okay, let's have a look. Line it up. It's going to be about 3 mil back. My dog's creeping downstairs. I don't know what he's playing at. He wants to go out. I'm not going out today. It's too cold. Let's have a look. Let's do this by eye. Okay. We're looking at about there. That's pretty good. Let me just drop that, and I'll drill a hole there. That's perfect. That's right in the spot it needs to be. Just going to grab the drill. You might as well see it live while I'm here. I wouldn't normally do this with a big, heavy power drill, but I have nothing else. I'm thinking a 1.5 mil drill bit should do. Why 1.5? Because a 1 mil drill bit will not go into my drill. I think 1.5 is pretty good actually. See where we are. 1.5 would be perfect. I might even be better off with a 2mm, so let's see where we are. Okay. That's not in right, it can't be in right, no it's not. I'll tell straight away. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That is perfectly lined up. Can you see there? Just super. That hole's too big. Perfect. How good is that? I need a fatter screw. Okay. We're not going to go with a fatter screw. What we're going to do is we're going to plug that hole. What do I say to that? I say crap. Let's just see how deep this hole is. Okay, certainly is deep enough. That's good. This hole is too wide. I could swap positions. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to plug that hole. Some match stalk type wood here, a thin one if I've got one. Of course I haven't. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Yeah, very good. That's what we're going to do. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to plug the hole like so. Then we are going to put the screw back in, and that's going to bite beautifully. Don't need any glue. That is just going to work. That is super tight, it's going nowhere. Oh, I'd like it to just turn slightly, a bit more this way. Here you go. It's not even in the right place, but that's where the hole was, so what can I do about it? Perfect, job done. Right, I'm going to crack on, I'm going to get some strings on, we're going to see how high we are, and we're going to try and move these slots just a little bit inside, do the whole lot. If we don't have enough, we're going to use these slots and I'm just going to slightly carve them in. I don't think we can move those slots, we're going to have to use them as they are. Okay, that's just the way it is. I'm going to get some strings on and we'll come back and we'll have a look at it again. You know what, we're going to get away with where those slots are anyway. Like I say, a little bit closer to the edge than I would have liked, but we still have 3mm inside the fingerboard there, a little bit more at this end, but that's going to be absolutely fine. We're going to get away with that. It's not so much getting away with it, it is okay. I could possibly remove enough. I don't think in the middle I can remove enough from the top of the nut to completely recarve it, but I certainly think we'll be pretty much fine there. What I'm going to do is, while the camera is running, I'm going to get my, just going to grab my nut slot files, or my older nut slot files, Hosco ones. These are really sharp, they're really good. I don't actually use these, I use my OHQ ones. But these, just to get me going, I'm just going to bring this slot over just a little bit, angling it and turning it back. and I'm going to see what difference that makes. And that's going to be fine. I've moved it across ever so slightly. It means I'm going to do the same with these as well, but we're going to be absolutely fine there. I've still got plenty of height over there. I can still remove more material. This is just quick for the camera. Don't remove too much because you'll be replacing the nut, and that's time consuming and more expense. So just a few. When it comes to doing the nut slots proper, I'll be using these files, which are expensive. They're pretty good. They went blunt a bit quicker than I would have liked them to, but here you go. And I'm just going to grab the 46 out of there, because these give a much rounder cut. That'll give a beautiful round cut. They cut a perfect half circle. What we're going to do is, everyone knows my thoughts on locking tuners. I don't like them. Let's blunt that side. It just doesn't cut at all. Look, these cut a beautiful semicircular groove. Yeah, locking tuners, getting back. If I loosen this and tighten it again, chances are we're going to snap right on where it enters the strings. Why I put some wraps around this, because when I loosen the strings again, I'm going to pull them through more and retighten them in a brand new place when I come to tune it. That's getting close to where it needs to be. I'm just going to check with a business card. Quite happy with that, but I will get this all done. So I'm going to get it all done off camera, cutting the nut. I'm going to do the same for each one. We're going to reshape the nut. We're going to file any burrs off. So what I'm basically going to be doing is I'm going to be restringing it. That's why I put a wrap round, you see, because I'm going to need to pull it through more later. Also, what I'm going to do is we're going to take a flat file with a safe edge that can't cut into anything, so we can just remove any burrs from the outside. And there you go, nice clean cut. And I'm going to crack on and get that done. Once that's done, set the guitar up and it'll be ready to go out the door. Now I'm going to show how we set the tremolo, because it's different for a Fender type tremolo than it is for a Floyd Rose, for instance. The Floyd Rose, if we're setting it floating, we set it perfectly horizontal to the body. On a Fender we don't do that, because if we need pullback movement we have to set the bridge pointing slightly forwards, and we normally go about 2.5–3 mil between the body and this side of the far end of the block. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means by trying to, I'm going to turn this round, try to hit anything, and I'm going to hit something. So you're going to have to take it at this angle, and you're going to see that the tremolo is pulled forward, and that way it gives us backwards pull or dive bomb mode, and that's how we do it. I'm probably so you're not really going to see it. I'm going to show you later once I've got it all set up. But anyway, trust me, the tremolo is pretty close to the body where the 6 screws are. We always set the 2 outside screws to the lowest point. The 4 middle screws, we set them where the 2 outside ones, then we turn them back a quarter turn. So in effect, we're just using the 2 outside screws a la the Fulcrum 2-point tremolo system. So in effect, we're still doing, we've got a 2-point tremolo, like the Fulcrum tremolo. So like I said, we bend this forwards. I've got business cards underneath pulling it forwards, and that will be the final resting position of the tremolo. Now the springs are really tight, so it's pulling back, but what we do is once we've got this in tune and set up, we remove the business cards. What will happen is it'll pull everything sharp, and all we do is we alter the 2 claw screws, these, to bring it back to pitch, and once it's back to pitch everything will be in tune. That will be at the exact same angle where it is there. So what I've done is, without the angle I want it to be at, I've now set the radius by first checking the action at the 12th fret. I've got 2mm this side, 1.75 this side. Those gaps are in millimetres, and the distance between the top of a fret and the bottom of a string. Gone just slightly higher than I normally would do on this, because I still need to cut the nut slots, and we're going to be cutting these nut slots another 3/4 of a millimetre out of that, so that is going to adjust the height of this anyway. So I've gone with a safe distance. The owner of the guitar, Adrian, says he wants a medium action anyway, so I've gone slightly higher here, but once I've cut the nut slots, this is going to drop a little bit. So I've set the radius, I've got the tremolo where I want it to be regarding being pulled forward. It means we're going to get a backward pull on the arm, or we can push forwards. I've got the radius set, I've got the action where I want it at the 12th fret for the time being. So what I can do now is, now I've got it tuned to almost pitch, and we'll see where we are. I could do the intonation, but I'm not going to do the intonation until I've cut the nut slots. I've just altered the, I've just been altering the radius on the bridge, so we're not in tune. Got it close to pitch. Check the action again, and then I'll check the relief in the neck. Don't need to be spot on yet, just need to get it close. So, let me move the camera again slightly. Just so you can see where I am with the nut. Now the nut, the slots are still nowhere near deep enough, or as deep as they want to be. You can see the whole guitar now. So, let's recap what I've done. Fitted the nut, we've got the strings on. We know the nut's not cut right, ignore the nut for now, because before we can work on the nut, what we need to do is, we need to get the radius set on the saddles, and we need to get the action right at the 12th fret. But before we do any of these, what we really need to do is we need to check how straight the neck is. And as I'm going for a little bit of relief in the neck, I normally go for 1/5 of a millimetre, or 0.2 millimetres under the 7th fret. We'll put a not straight edge on there. I'm just going to eyeball it for now, and I already know that that is a little bit less than I would normally have it, but that's close enough just for this setup. I'm going to take feeler gauge, and I'm going to drag out 0.2 millimetres when I find it. It's always the last one you find, isn't it? There you go. And I'm just going to check under the 7th fret, see if we're anywhere close to where we need to be. And we've actually got a bit more relief in there than I would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, ever so slightly, I'm just going to straighten the neck. So I'm going to grab the correct Allen key, which will be 3/16 for a Mexican neck. And I'm going to slightly tighten the truss rod and straighten the neck up a little bit. And there you go, and that should be enough. So let's have a look again. Seventh fret. Yeah, and we are just touching there. Could go a little bit more. The truss rod stuck fast because it's touching on the string. There you go. That should now be enough. There you go. Just touching that. No. Ignore that, I've gone the wrong way with the truss rod. Surely I need to be loosening it, not tightening. There's too much relief in there. It is a two-way truss rod. I'm going to leave those mistakes in. Okay. looking pretty good. Go one little bit more. I think we're going to be there. No, I've gone the wrong way again. Take no notice of anything I've said. I'm going to leave all these mistakes in because we all make mistakes. But mine's gone totally blank. So I've tightened the truss rod slightly to get the right amount of relief in the neck, 0.2mm at the 7th fret, which is right there. Once that's done, we've got the right amount of relief. I've checked the action at the 12th fret and I've got the radius on the fingerboard. I'm just going to check the action again because I have altered the truss rod. I'm looking for around about 2mm there and about 1.75 there, and that's exactly what we have. The reason I've gone so high is I've not cut the nut slots, so now I can cut the nut slots. I'm going to be cutting probably 1/2 mil out of these slots, which is going to bring these down, this down again 1/4 mil, which will bring the 2mm down to about 1.8 and the 1.75 down to about 1.55. That will be a perfect action at the 12th fret with the nut cut right, with the radius right on the saddles, and all I need to do then is check the intonation and the guitar will be set up. What have I done with that? Bear with me a second. I always put this thing down and I never find it when I want to, but I found it and there you go. Back soon. Just cutting the final nut slot. 10 gauge. I was never impressed with these. Made in Japan, supposed to be. Uo Chikyu brand. These went blunt. Some of them went blunt after about 4 or 5 uses. Never been impressed with them at all. So I'm going to go and get myself either a Stumac set, or if I can find them, an Ibanez set. The Ibanez sets are supposed to be brilliant. But when you're shelling out £100 or more for a set of files, you want them to be fantastic. And unfortunately, those were not. So I would not recommend them. So I've measured the height above the first fret on this. 0.3mm this end, 0.2mm this end, and the combination slightly getting higher in between. So 0.2, 0.25, or 0.22, 0.25, 0.27, 0.29, 0.3. And that is perfect. So what I need to do now is I'm going to remove the strings, I'm going to recarve the top of this nut, get it all in line. I'm going to clean up the slots, tidy it up, and then we're going to put the strings back on, get the guitar to pitch. Tremolo's already set where it is. We're going to set the tremolo and that will be it. I'm going to move over to the other bench where you can see the whole of the guitar. We'll be using natural light and you'll see everything, and we can get this guitar finished off. One thing I forgot to do was set the intonation, so I've just set it on the 2 low strings. I'm going to carry on showing the intonation and how to set it. Everything else is set up: radius, string height, relief, nut slots. That's all been done. So the last thing we're going to do is set the intonation. So D, 12th fret, a little bit short, so we need to move the saddle, we need to lengthen it, so we're going to move it away from the neck. How I remember that is, if a note's sharp, a 12th fretted note is sharp, we'll move it to the right. Sharp and right are 5 letters. If a note is flat, we'll move it left. Flat and left are both 4 letters. So it always matches. So D string, we're just going to lengthen it slightly, just a couple of turns, or 1 turn. That'll now be sharp, I'm going to drop it back. Good. Good. We're a little bit flat there, so I'm going to move the saddle flat means we need to go left with the saddle. As I look at it from here, I'm going to go left. Flat 4 letters, left 4 letters. So we're just going to shorten the string length on that one. So we're going to just turn it back. That's it, just about 3/4 of a turn. Should be a bit flat now, which we are. Still a little bit flat, so I'm going to move a little bit more. Look at that slot, because it's just giving us that little bit of a sitar vibe. Just hear it. Intonation set. We're just going to bring it back, and we're going to level off this slot. Normally means the slot is not level. So there you go, everything's set. So like I'm going to set, like I say, loosen the strings, recob this knot, put the strings back on, get the guitar set up, and it will be ready to go. Okay guys, we are just about done. I've recut the nut, restrung the guitar, snipped off the excess, because I've used a couple of rounds around the poles. I've taken the wraps off the poles now, and I've shortened the string length. We've cut them right back. I always put wraps round because when I'm tightening the strings and then having to loosen them again to cut the nut, they're going to snap on the post. We always do with locking tuners. So I wrap round excess, and I cut off that excess, and I re-thread them in again. So what do I need to do now? Well, the tremolo is still blocked, and what I need to do is I need to set the tremolo. So I hope you can see from there. I'm going to set the tremolo exactly as it is, leaning forward a bit. It gives us some backward pull and dive bomb mode, and it's what you do on Fenders. I'm hoping you can see there. And I've got the guitar in tune. So we're in tune, and all the strings are stretched, and what we need to do now is really easy to set tuning on the guitar. We're going to remove the business cards, my business cards. It's going to pull the tremolo right back, and what we're going to do is we're going to alter these two claw spring screws, and when we have a string back in tune, I've still got it plugged into a tuner, we're going to go on the G string or the A string, either of the strings, and when they're in tune, all the rest of the strings should follow and be in tune. So we're going to take a screwdriver, and we're just going to drop the claws back. We shouldn't have to touch the tuners at all. Just going to keep looking there. And I'm going to pluck a string and see where we are. A is sharp. So we're going to bring these claw springs back again until that A drops in tune. And we're going to keep altering these springs. Still sharp. Should be able to bring them back together. A's in tune, D's in tune, G's flat, B's flat, E's flat, and slightly tighten the lower spring of the two, or basically the higher strings. Just drop that a notch, and we should be in tune. G's a little flat. Some very minor adjustments. And there you go, that is the guitar perfectly in tune. We have the tremolo floating, it's giving us forward and backward movement. Like raise slightly up, so it gives us forward movement, and we can pull up, and the guitar should be in perfect tune. One slight problem with the tremolo arm, the threaded insert is slightly bent. It doesn't have a spring under it either like it should do, but that is the guitar finished. So let's recap what we've done. It came in originally for a fret level and a little bit of electrical work and a setup. And I recommended to the owner that he doesn't have a fret level, he actually has a refret, because the frets all down this end were not seated correctly. There was a gap between the fret and my fingerboard. And I told him if he wanted me just to do a fret level, the frets would be pretty much safer, it just wouldn't look right, but I would not put my name to it. So he just says, no, I want a fret level, work that was commissioned, blah, blah, blah. So I set out doing the work that was commissioned. I actually did the fret level, I recrad, just about to polish, and he'd come back, he changed his mind. So I'd wasted that time, but as a gesture of goodwill, I said, look, I'll carry on, I'll do the refret at the price quoted, 250 quid. It's not just a refret he's had a refret, he's had the electrics completely redone. I've added a blend pot on my second tone pot. The first tone pot, the one in the middle, I've made a master tone, so it's tone on all three. So I've got master volume, master tone, we have a blend pot in this position nearest to the jack. And that helps us, that means we can blend in the neck pickup in the bridge or bridge and middle position. And in the neck or neck and middle position, we can blend the bridge pickup in. So it gives us two extra options. That means we can have bridge and neck also together without the middle pickup, or we can have all three pickups on at once. Really fantastic mod, it's my favourite mod, and that is what I've done. So that's what the guitar's had. It's had the whole lot, complete refret, blend mod, brand new nut fitted, complete setup. That's including all hardware and all the messing about and everything. And there is the guitar. I've also had to adapt the headstock to accept the string tree because it needed another oil drilling in there. That's all done, and this is it. And what a fantastic guitar it is. So made in Mexico, it's an MZ80, I don't know what year it is exactly, but it's had a lot of modifications. It does have upgraded pickups. I will remind you what the pickups are in a second when I remember myself. I don't know what set they are, but I do know who made them. And just bear with me a second. I should have done this earlier. They are House of Tone pickups. I don't know what they're like because I haven't plugged it in, but that is it. House of Tone pickup upgrade. Electrics, I didn't do the pickups, they were already done. We've done a blend mod on there, complete refret, complete setup. Guitar looks fantastic, but that is it. Be a long video, be quite hard to edit this, but hopefully I'll edit nicely because there's bits about me not doing the about doing a fret level and changing it back to a refret. I might keep everything in, I don't know yet. We'll try and keep everything, you know, nice and friendly. But there you go, what a beautiful guitar. I don't remember it having a back plate. It obviously didn't because it's not in the pot, but what a lovely thing. This is as good as any American now, I imagine. I'm not a big fan of a 6-point tremolo, but hey-ho, it's the way it goes, but it looks fantastic. Oh, one other thing I did as well, I completely re-radiused my fingerboard because the radius wasn't quite right, so that's been done as well. Look at it, look at those frets. It looks fantastic, but it is all done, so I'm going to move on to the next project. So without further ado, just going to remind you of my websites. Facebook.com/NG17, that's Facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. There's also fretfriend.co.uk. I am Victor, I am your fret friend, and until the next time, as always, God bless you, be good to each other, see you in the next one.